Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja, I am Uyi Agmofwegbe. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We apologize for that audio glitch a while ago. It was occasioned by some technical challenge which has now been resolved. Thank you so very much for your understanding. Vice President Kashif Shettima has presided over a meeting of the National Economic Council, its first since President Bola Tinubu revived calls for the creation of state to tackle worsening insecurity. Participants entered a closed-door session after the opening prayers by Delta State Governor Sharif Oboriwori. The National Economic Council, a constitutional advisory body chaired by the Vice President and comprising the 36 state governors, central bank governor, and key ministers, meets monthly to coordinate economic policy, but often deliberates on wider governance challenges. Nigeria's Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has taken Africa's voice to the global stage, calling for stronger parliamentary action to deepen digital trade. Speaking at the World Trade Organization Inter-Parliamentary Union Steering Committee in Geneva, Switzerland, Kalu emphasized that Africa is not waiting for others to define its digital future. A National Assembly correspondent, Anietie Patrick, now reports.
At the WTO Public Forum, Kalu stressed that digital trade is now one of the biggest governance challenges of the time, shaping business and youth opportunities across the globe. He noted that Africa is already laying the groundwork through the African Continental Free Trade Area and its protocol on digital trade, an ambitious blueprint for a unified digital market.
This protocol on digital trade, we are building our own regional multilateralism, a blueprint for a harmonized integrated digital market. Despite the challenges, Axel, we will win. Despite our differences, the digital space will unite us with one purpose of increasing the economic growth of the continent.
Kalu pointed to Nigeria's progress, including the Nigeria Data Protection Act of 2023 and the proposed National Digital Economy Bill. Designed to boost e-commerce and investor confidence, he also proposed a three-step action plan, a legislative tracking mechanism for accountability, WTO support for AfCFTA's digital trade rollouts, and a model legislative toolkit with UNCTAD and ITC to guide Parliament.
The Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023 safeguards privacy. So we are not only handling governance, we're not handling only private sector, we are breaking down the digital space into individual lives, the right to privacy.
For Nigeria and the African continent, Kalu insists that Parliament must legislate not just for today, but for a digital future that bridges trust, opportunity, and inclusive growth. Anietie Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Well, thank you so very much, Anietie. Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are set to enjoy smoother connectivity as the federal government flags off the construction of Arterial Road N1 linking Wuye District to Ring Road 2. The project is part of ongoing efforts to upgrade infrastructure and ease transportation across the Federal Capital Territory. Kabir Hassan was there for Global Television. We'll bring you those details subsequently. The Rivers State House of Assembly has sent a fresh message to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, urging him to immediately submit the list of commissioner nominees for screening and confirmation. The call came as lawmakers reconvened in Port Harcourt for their first plenary after a 6-month suspension triggered by declaration of emergency rule in the state. During the session, the Assembly commended President Bola Tinubu for lifting the emergency rule and restoring democratic governance. Members also pledged to uphold agreements reached with key stakeholders to safeguard peace and stability. Governor Fubara, along with his deputy lawmakers, are expected to return to office following the presidential directive on Wednesday. The The National Examinations Council, NECO, has released the results of the 2025 Senior School Certificate Examination, SSCE Internal, 54 days after the last written paper. Global Television's Priscilla Obasi has details.
At the NECO headquarters in Minna, Niger State, Registrar of the Council, Professor Ibrahim Wushishi, announced that out of 1.3 million candidates who sat for the June-July examination, 818,492, representing 60.26%, scored 5 credits and above, including mathematics and English.
Number of candidates with 5 credits and above, irrespective of mathematics and English, is 1,144,496 candidates.
Wushishi also disclosed a significant drop in malpractice cases, with 3,878 candidates involved this year compared to over 10,000 in 2024. He added 38 schools in 13 states have been flagged for mass cheating, while 9 supervisors have been recommended for blacklisting.
9 supervisors, 3 in Rivers, 1 in Niger, 3 in FCT, 1 in Kano, and 1 in Osun states were recommended for blacklisting due to poor supervision, aiding and abetting, lateness, unruly behavior, assault, and insubordination.
Meanwhile, Kano, Lagos, and Oyo states produced the highest number of candidates with 5 credits and above, including mathematics and English, while the Gabon Center recorded no candidate with such performance, highlighting the sharp disparity across regions. With the new curriculum now in effect, NECO will also streamline its exams to 38 subjects to cut down waiting time for results. Priscilla Obasi, Global Television News.
Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says the most effective way to guarantee greater representation for women and other marginalized groups in elective positions is through affirmative action backed by clear legal provisions. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, stated this while receiving members of the Women's Collective Forum on an advocacy visit to the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Sadia Yakubu completes the report.
The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, explained that the ongoing review of the Constitution and the Electoral Act provides an opportunity to push for amendment that will entrench women's participation in legislative assemblies and party leadership structures. Professor Yakubu noted that INEC already operates a gender policy with women leading more than half of its departments and directorates. He added that political parties have also been urged to open more space for underrepresented groups.
We recognize the importance of taking such steps. In the last few years, the Commission created a special women's-only slot for promotion to the rank of director, and this policy has paid off. Today, 12 out of 22 departments and directors of the Commission are headed by women.
Meanwhile, the ambassador to Ethiopia and Djibouti, Nkoyo Toyo, commended INEC's efforts in the electoral process and appealed to the Commission to provide women an avenue for proper representation at all levels of government.
I can tell you that the women's movement in Nigeria has studied almost every country you can imagine on what they have done, what they have not done, and why the situation continues to be different for us.
The INEC boss, however, assured the Women's Collective Forum of the Commission's continued support in advancing inclusive democracy in Nigeria.
Sadia Yakubu reporting for Global Television News.
The federal government is set to embark on the construction of new dams in Benue, Kaduna, and Adamawa states. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsef, made this known at the 8th International Water Conference in Makurdi. He said the initiative will be executed through a public-private partnership under a Build, Operate, Transfer concession framework to improve water supply, support agriculture, as well as mitigate flooding across the country. Benue State correspondent Felicity Indere has more.
Speaking at the 8th International Water Conference in Makurdi, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Otave, stressed that the access to clean water, food security, and flood control remain top priorities of the present administration. He explained that the new dams would serve as a major step towards addressing long-standing challenges in Nigeria's water and agricultural sector.
It is not only Katsina Ala Dam that we are concessioning. We are also at the process of concessioning the Bawaku Dam, also here in Benue State. And there are other dams also that we are working on. We are working on the Dasa Hausa in Adamawa State. We are working on the Tisit Dam in Kaduna State. These dams we are also working on a public-private partnership basis. There's a concession process. So that when this is being done, these dams will be put to use in irrigating Nigeria.
Experts at the gathering also underscored the urgency of strengthening urban water infrastructure and implementing governance reforms to ensure sustainability.
By empowering the next generation of engineers and water management professionals, we can ensure that they are equipped with the skills and knowledge necessary to tackle the water challenges of tomorrow.
It is our duty to innovate, collaborate, and design solutions that will not only meet today's needs, but also secure our future. In the next 3 days, we shall interrogate the key issues towards the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDGs.
The Benue State government, through its Chief of Staff, reaffirmed its commitment to supporting the project and ensuring they deliver long-term benefit to local communities.
And how do we do that? We're looking at a model now where the service providers will be given the mandate of maintaining those things such that they become sustainable.
We understand water security underpins food security, human security, and environmental resilience. We are therefore committed to policies and initiatives that promote sustainable water development.
The conference themed Sustainable Urban Water Development and Management in Nigeria brought together policymakers, engineers, and stakeholders to deliberate on solutions that will align Nigeria with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 6 on clean water and sanitation. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere reporting for Global TV News.
All state governments has inaugurated local emergency management committees across the 27 local government areas to step up grassroots disaster response. The ceremony took place in Owerri, the state capital. Amarachi Ibe has details. Well, Amarachi's report will be brought to you later. You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News with Uyi Agumofwebe. When the rest of the broadcast returns, South Africa's commission moves to probe claims linking judiciary with crimes. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories for you on the other side of those break. Please do stay with us. The second part of this news broadcast now returns with business. The Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria has restated its resolve to continue grooming effective fit-for-purpose skills for a stronger and more resilient energy industry in Nigeria. President of the group, Chris Osawumese, declared at the Human Capacity Building Awards hosted in Lagos, driven by the spirit of excellence and collaboration in advancing the nation's petroleum industry. The federal government has assured Nigerian farmers of consistent and affordable access to fertilizer as the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative enters a new phase. Authorities say the program, now in its third stage, is designed to strengthen supply chains, boost local production, as well as cut reliance on imports. Chief Executive Officer, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, Dr. Armstrong Umete Tank, says the program is designed to guarantee steady and affordable access for farmers nationwide. Business correspondent Kikalomo Okere has details.
Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, regarded as cornerstone of Nigeria food security drive, has made significant progress in ensuring fertilizer availability. Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, Dr. Armstrong Ume Tangag says, between 2022 and 2025, 48 vessels has delivered critical raw materials for blending. It reveals that in 2025, more than 560,000 metric tons have already been received at the Nigerian port, a record that reassures farmers of continuous supply.
Agriculture contributes at least 25% of our GDP. That tells you, and you're in the heart of it. The richness of the soil determines the yield, and the yield determines so many other things. But if our soil is destroyed, and the potency of the fertilizer that we supply is questionable, then we are creating so much more havoc and destruction for the livelihoods of those millions of Nigerians who are farmers.
Dr. Tangan says the initiative is now transitioning into PFI 3.0, with Murphy set to take over operations from the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority by November 2025. He noted that the next phase will emphasize year-round nationwide availability, cost efficiency, and strong traceability to curb hoarding and diversion.
One thing I can assure you is that, contrary to any insinuations or any perceptions, we are committed, both of us are committed to ensuring that we work together to ensure that this transition is smooth. It does not disrupt the sector in any way. If anything, share experiences, share insights to ensure that PFI 3.0 becomes even stronger than it has ever been.
President, Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria, Sadiq Kazim, says the PFI has facilitated the production of over 128 million bags of fertilizers, with more than 90 blending plants now operational nationwide. He added that the country's blending capacity has grown to 13 million metric tons.
Capacity, we have improved from the commencement of the PFI in 2016 to date. There are more blending plants available. We have today the capacity to blend up to 13 million metric.
With Nigeria's agro-industry base set to expand, stakeholders says PFI 3.0 will further empower farmers, reduce reliance on imports, and bring the country closer to food sovereignty. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Oh, thank you so very much, Kike Lomo. Let's now move to the foreign scene, where a judicial commission set up by South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa to investigate explosive claims by top police officers linking politicians to criminal gangs has begun its public hearings, weeks after a delayed start. Police Chief for the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Nlanhla Nkwazani, says the country's criminal justice system has been subjected to a continuous threat as well as sabotage over an extended period. Africa's most industrialized nation is plagued by deep-rooted crime and corruption fueled by organized networks. In July, Provincial Police Chief Nkwanazi had accused Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and other senior officials of obstructing investigations into the cases, including politically motivated murders.
It has been my aim that I want to demonstrate that the criminal justice system has been subject to a continuous threat as well as sabotage, which has been with us over an extended period, to a point where we believe it is at real risk of a total collapse if nothing is done. Therefore, an urgent and effective interventions are required in order to avert this outcome.
Nkwanazi, a prominent lieutenant general with more than 3 decades of service, was the first to testify before the panel in the capital, Pretoria. He has placed a demand on the commission.
And I believe this commission will stand to play a very important role in order to help us to prevent this total collapse. of the justice system in our country.
His allegations had led President Ramaphosa to suspend Umchunu and announce the 3-member commission chaired by a former Constitutional Court judge. Uyi Agmofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News. Ukraine has worsened fuel shortages across Russia in the past week as it has continued to hit Russia's refineries and energy infrastructure with long-range drones, while Poland has called for more sanctions in the wake of Russia's first drone attack on NATO soil. United States Embassy in India says the administration of United States President Donald Trump has revoked and denied visas for some Indian business executives over allegations that they are involved in the trade of fentanyl components. In a statement issued by the embassy announcing the revocation of visas, did not identify the targeted individuals or provide details about the nature of their business. Fentanyl precursors include tranquilizers and other chemicals used in the manufacturing of the dangerous drug. In auto sports, Nigeria's Super Eagles have slipped one place to 45th in the latest FIFA World Ranking after mixed results in recent international matches. The team secured wins against Rwanda and Congo, drew with South Africa, but suffered defeats to Sudan and Senegal. On the African continent, Nigeria now ranks 6th, while Spain dethroned Argentina as world number 1 for the first time since 2014. Nigeria's ambition to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games is gaining momentum as members of the Commonwealth Bid Evaluation Committee carry out an inspection tour of facilities in Abuja. As was correspondence on the visits and what it means for Nigeria's sports and economic trajectory.
India and Nigeria are the 2 final bidders to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games, with Nigeria proposing Abuja and India proposing Ahmedabad. The decision will be made by Commonwealth Sports in November. Following the evaluation of their formal proposals, India's bid also serves as a potential stepping stone for hosting the 2036 Olympic Games. Leader, Commonwealth 2030 Bid Evaluation Committee, Darren Hall, said the visit was aimed at bringing to life what Nigeria had outlined in its proposal, noting the committee looks forward to working closely with the country in the months ahead.
We're here to work with you, to talk to you, to really learn and bring to life what we've seen in the proposal that you've pulled forward, and we're really excited to see all the wonderful venues and just to see all the passion and all the people that have pulled together such an exciting proposition for Commonwealth sport and for Nigeria for the future.
According to Shehu Diko, a member of the bid team who doubles as the chairman National Sports Commission, Nigeria's bid has been described as robust with strong backing at the highest level of government. He added that President Bola Tinubu has already signed a guarantee letter assuring the Commonwealth of Nigeria's commitment. He said the evaluation team will also hold meetings with the National Security Advisor and leadership of the National Assembly to review security and legislative frameworks required for hosting.
After your inspection and other engagements in Nigeria, you will be convinced that Nigeria is really committed and is able, more than able, and have the capabilities and the possibilities to host what I will term the best games ever in the Commonwealth, because that's our ambition and that is what we want.
The Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olopade, emphasized that Africa's time has come, stressing Nigeria's readiness to deliver games that matches global standards while advancing the continent's place in international sports. He argued that hosting the Commonwealth Games would not only reflect Nigeria's growing economic capacity, but also deepen inclusivity by bringing the Games to Africa for the first time.
It would be foolery and ludicrous for anybody to believe that as Nigerians who live in the best country in the world, with the most intelligent people in the world, that won't be able to host the Commonwealth Games. And don't forget, Africa has never hosted these games. It's going to the Centenary Games, the 100 years of the game. It's high time the Commonwealth Games came to Africa.
Nigeria has a history of hosting continental and global competitions from the All-African Games to FIFA Youth World Cups and hopes to build on that trajectory as it seeks the nod to stage the 2030 Commonwealth Games. If successful, Nigeria would make history as the first African country to host the Commonwealth Games, a landmark achievement for both sports and the economy. Aniyetie Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Thank you so very much, Aniyetie. And that's how we wrap it up here on the AM News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on the DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. As always, remember to follow, engage, and of course interact with us across social media platforms using Global TV NG, as well as other handles now showing on your screen. I am Uyi Agumofwewe. Thank you again for watching, and Global Morning starts shortly. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
A very good morning to you. Thank you, everyone, for, as always, keeping a date with us here on Global Morning. Well, the weekend has started in a sense. I'm Uyag Mofogbe saying welcome to Global Morning here on Global Television.
Good morning.
Good morning, Priscilla.
Yes. Always, as always, such a delight to be here.
And I share that delight. So let's say it's 50-50.
Yeah, actually. So how's it coming? How's the weekend? What's preparation for the weekend?
Well, I don't know about preparation for the weekend, but I know it's going to be quite a busy one for me. Not basically on the work front, but largely on the home front. Quite a number of things to do. You know, these days people talk about work-life balance, that sort of thing. I don't know if really we're finding balance or if we ever can find balance. Yeah. But what we try to do is to ensure that we don't over tilt in such a way that one has to suffer for the other, that kind of thing. Because when it's all said and done, we all come from families. And when it all ends, whatever that means, we're going back to family. So we ensure that we also don't leave any loose ends, all right, on that front in such a way that we can begin to, continue to be effective in the work that we do. I was joking with a friend yesterday. I said, you'll be amazed how many supervisors come to work throwing tantrums. Like one former minister said, they come to show you how that they are on a short fuse, you know, because they've had issues with, on the home front, maybe with their spouse, with their children, with their parents, you know, just domestic issues, and then you extend the whole energy to work, and then what's that thing called again? Transferred aggression, right? That sort of thing. But it feels great to be here.
Yeah, I think rest starts from the mind. It's a state,
it does.
Yeah, it's a state of the mind. So when you have programmed your mind to rest, somehow it would work out. Yeah, and I think there's one thing that the workplace in this part of the world neglects, and it's a place of, we have human resource managers, maybe, but then there's something called career counselors, and every workplace should have a career counselor.
Right.
So when you are in that state, you know, of that state of mind where, you know, things are not balanced, work life, trying to manage family, you can always walk up to the career counselor, talk to her or him, you know, and then they give you, because we feel like we're adults, but a lot of us have not learned life the right way. We don't have men.
I know you're trying to be euphemistic. You're trying. What you really want to say organically is that a lot of us are damaged.
Actually, that's true. That's the truth. A lot of Nigerians have been grown or have been we're built, we're trained, we're brought up with one trauma or the other. Yes, we're not trauma free. So some people have more traumas than others. Yeah, but then in a place like Nigeria, nobody's normal. So yeah, we always need people to talk. And there's this mindset that people have, people don't like to confide in people. People don't like therapy in this part of the world. You know, you have your problems, you just keep it to yourself. You don't know what how your neighbor will take it or how that person you speak to will take it. But I think it also comes from a place of, to me, it comes from a place of low self-esteem. We should understand that we cannot do life alone, no matter what it is, and you always need that person to talk with. It's a thing of confidence to know that I know self-awareness. I know this was wrong with me at this moment. I'm not okay, and I need to hold the hand of someone for me to be okay. Yeah, it takes someone that is confident to walk up to a therapist, you know, to tell them, I need you to fix this for me so that I can be okay. So Nigerians have a mindset of keep it to yourself, don't confide. We don't do therapy, especially the men.
It's quite interesting. Yes, we can have that conversation all day and all night, especially the men. Right? But like you said, ideally, that's what it should be. You have the HR team, or at least the HR manager, and then of course you have the career counselor or someone who just provides career guidance of some kind for you, right? But let's start from the HR part of it, right? I've seen amazing HR managers. People by whatever title, all right? People in HR who are doing well. In fact, one time I had, of necessity, I had to do mid-career internship because I'd gone for a training that required you to do internship as part of the entire process. So I spent about a week at that point in time, some 7 years ago now, all right, at one of Nigeria's leading media houses. The HR there was out of this world. The way they treat you like you just arrived at an Ivy League university, it's your first day in school, you need to be giving orientation. I mean, the unbundling was as if you had come to resume as an executive and things like that.
Wow.
I mean, hold on a second. I think we are misjudging our country. Maybe we are doing the wrong assessment because this is right on the soil of Nigeria. All right? And these people are Nigerians, trained in Nigeria. Which means that we can do better if we want. I maybe realize that this we do come from one of two places. Ignorance and incompetence on one hand. On the other hand, which is the second possibility, a deliberate resolve to just be mediocre. All right? I mean, this was a Nigerian firm or outfit. That's for the HR guys. But I've also seen nasty HR managers. In fact, there was one somebody told me about, I never met the lady. Until something took me to that organization, again, a media outfit. And I needed to submit a letter. Of course, you would have to sign in at the gate and then sign out on your way out of the organization. So I was just signing out when the HR manager was coming into the office, and then met me at the point where I was about to exit. And from the attitude she gave to me, the first thing that rang a bell in my head was, remember what you were told about this lady. Wow. So what it means is that her attitude that morning was the exact match of what somebody who had worked there told me about her. So when you have such an HR, how do you go to them to talk? And that's number one. Then you also talked about how that here we are reluctant to talk to people. After all, here we're told that a problem shared is half solved. Whether that is still the truth or the case, I'm not so sure. But here is the thing. When people talk to you about their lives, it's the most sensitive thing they can ever share. Sometimes more classified than even information at the Pentagon, because it has to do with their lives. And most times their lives revolve around these pieces of information that they're sharing. But what happens if time and again, or at least on more than one occasion, those they had trusted actually blew it, bungled that trust? What do? You can't blame them. There's that one. There's also the fact that people feel all power belongs to God, so there's nothing Priscilla can do for me. She's a human being. She's as limited and constrained as I am, so what's the big deal? But I get your point on a final note. You're saying we must have to change that thinking.
Yes.
We must begin to align with the reality that nobody can do life all by themselves. We need someone to hold our hand at every point in time.
At the end of the day, I mean, we are all here, and one day we'll leave this world. So what are you hoarding? What are you keeping? Yeah, so the essence of being in life, or the essence of living, being, on this earth, is to live purposefully. Whatever it takes to, make that a reality is what should be our goal. So the whole funny feeling about talking to someone, well, there's a place of talking to a professional, right? Yes, there's a place of talking to people. At the end of the day, I don't think it's something one should hold on to. And then there's a way you share information. Yeah, you don't just go out, just
talking to every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Exactly. And then there are ways you package your information you want to give to people. So it's just using common sense at the end of the day. But we all need to talk to someone. I mean, so that we don't blow up at the end of the day.
All right, let's not blow up, please. Talking about blowing up now brings to mind the issue of the fire incident in Lagos that has taken quite a number of lives. We've seen Tony Elumelu come out to say, look, we are mourning. The man has been dragged in the last few days. Of course, Trust Nigerians, then Nigeria X, or what we used to call Nigeria Twitter. All right. I mean, the man has been dragged. Several things have been said, but the bottom line is that lives have been lost. So far, we're hearing about 10. All right. Losing one life is bad enough already, let alone when it's multiple, as it is in this case. But what this instant situation has also highlighted is the need to pay more attention, prioritize the need for precautionary measures, right? Fire, fighting, infrastructure in such a way that we don't have to be reactive every time. We should be proactive.
And that is also to those company owners. Yeah. We have a fire system. Unfortunately, I've not seen the Nigerian Service rescue situation. I don't think I've...
No, they have. It just appears that we see more of instances where they either came late, didn't come at all, or, some very funny drama played out, and it was as though it was better. They didn't even come at all. I've seen where even occupants of buildings, residents in a particular neighborhood have said, look, if not for fire service. But again, let's be clear. I've seen cases where it was the fire service from a teaching hospital and a federal university that are, of course, side by side, that came to the rescue, not even the one owned by the state or the federal government. I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
Okay, so for every big case we have seen on the internet, we saw I think, I don't know if it was 2 years ago where the Christ Embassy building.
Yes, it was last year.
Last year, right?
It was at Ikeja in Lagos.
Every time we see this big establishments, you understand, we never hear of, any fire service coming to their rescue.
To intervene and then rescue the situation.
It's always tragedy at the end of the day. So, I mean, we know the state of country we're in. We want it to get better, but if you are putting up a structure, like you have said, it's important to take those precautionary measures. I hear that it was from some solar installation.
Right?
Yeah, solar is becoming the order of the day, and it's saving a lot of people electricity. But then, when we're doing this thing, we should do it well. There's a place of seeking professionals. You don't just. You need to examine people that are working for you. I've seen cases where people say they put POP in their houses and then it falls. And I'm wondering, where's the problem? What's the problem? Why is this? It happened over and over again. So, artisans, when you're working with artisans, you need to certify that they are professionals. They are, they are up to the task, and not just about what they have done, but you need to prove for that you get. That's what I'm just trying to say. And also, safety, it's also a personal, responsibility. Yeah, if you are working in an establishment, ask the right questions. If fire breaks out of this place, what happens? What do we do? Everybody should probe. Take your security, take your safety personal, because at the end of the day, when anything goes bad, I mean, it happens to you.
Right.
Yeah, so we can all, the worst or the best everyone can say is sorry, and then he gets. Well, I mean, it gets better. We pray that such incidents, don't happen again, and the government sees this and do what they need to do.
All right. So what we need to do at this point in time here on Global Morning is to take a quick break. When we return, we'll put the conversations on the road for you. Please stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
One of the, front and center of our conversation this morning on the program is the development in River State. Of course, it's no longer news. Suspended governor, as it then was, Fubara, has now been reinstated, and then the members of the House of Assembly have also been reinstated. Of course, by extension, the deputy governor of the state has been reinstated as well. Yesterday, almost immediately as it starts for its first plenary in 6 months, the House of Assembly in that state actually asked the governor to submit a commissioner nominee list as well as the budgets for 2025. I'm trying not to smile saying this because it's a serious business, but then who wouldn't smile given the drama that has trailed these whole political developments in River State?
I mean, there are speculations that he hasn't also showed up from, the news yesterday, and I don't know what Fubara is up to. I think he has every right to act the way he wants to act right now, because it's a situation. It's a very funny situation. That's what I'll just say. And I don't know what he's up to. Like I said, let's just look out. Let's just cross our fingers, because I mean, this is such, in my opinion, an embarrassment. Yeah, it is. And I don't know the terms to which he has agreed to. But then there's something fishy somewhere.
Right.
Yes, there is. And we're just, like I said, cross our fingers to see what plays out, because this has never happened in Nigeria. And I don't know why the Wike factor. I don't even understand the politics that Wike is playing at this moment again. I really don't understand. It's quite new. It's new. And if we bow down, or if we take it as a norm, before you know, somebody brings up another very funny style of politics.
Maybe a bit more intriguing.
A bit more intriguing. So people are applauding him. Some other people are, looking at him, are not happy with what he's doing then. But it's not something that should be condoned, in my opinion. It's too messy. It is too messy. You can't be in a party, trying to frustrate this person, trying to fight with this person, trying to team up with this person. The politics is just too messy, in my opinion. So it's not something Nigerians should just fold our hands to. It's a time we should speak against. Anytime we see something that is not normal, it's not a time to fold our hands and just allow it pass, or no, we need to vehemently speak against it. Else, people come up with worse case scenarios.
Those of us who think we're insulated might become the victims ultimately.
Eventually.
All right, let's take a quick break, because this is one issue that Priscilla will be engaging one of our guests on later on the program this morning. At this point, when we return, we'll bring you paper headlines. Do stay with us.
All right, welcome back. Right about now, we're diving straight to the papers. It's the newspaper segment of the show, and then we'll go with the first paper here, which is the Daily Sun. The first story here says, Dangote Refinery rebuffs Dapman's 1.505 trillion naira subsidy demands, vows to defend position. Yeah, and the next story here is, okay, 60.26% pass as NECO releases 2025 SSC internal results. There is a rider there that says 9 supervisors blacklisted. Fubara deputy lawmakers return as emergency rule. And that's the big story there, with 2 riders there saying Tinubu lifts state of emergency in Rivers, calls for peace, democratic governance, and tension as Iba's aides revolt over unpaid allowances. Okay, let's go to page 26 of the paper that says Nigeria, UK, 16 trillion naira, current trade value highest ever, and that is coming from the High Commissioner. That you'll find on page 16 of the Daily Sun. Enugu seals 100 billion naira, pact to revitalize Sogai's Heneke farm, and that is on page 27. Drug trafficking, Saudi Arabia frees 3 Nigerian pilgrims, that you will find on page 4 of the Daily Sun. Finally, we have FIRS has holding Mon staff loss in Lagos fire, and that is on page 25 of the Daily Sun. Read up more details by getting yourself a copy of the Daily Sun. Let's go to the next story, which is the blueprint, and we'll have you take us through that.
All right, incidentally, the next one here will be, let's see what we have. It is the Nation newspaper. All right, we're just going to look at about 4 headlines for you from there, starting from top right corner of it. It says Tinubu to meet Aisha Buhari during Kaduna visit. One rider with it there, but I mean, okay, well, that hasn't got a rider really. But the next one here says BOI granted Adaptation Fund accreditation. That's the Bank of Industry, bank to finance climate issues. Sounds good. Nigeria, US seal healthcare partnership. Party hails agreement. That headline has a picture of the Minister of Health and Coordinating Minister of Social Development. The last one says, why Fubara delayed return. I'm sure that's some interesting read-up for you on page 2 of the Nation newspaper today. Let's flip real quick to the This Day.
Okay.
That's our next one called This Day newspaper.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so on this day newspaper, the first story here says Osun PDP asks FHC Chief Justice to probe suspicious letters in local government funds case. There's a writer there that says, one of the letters may have been backdated, and that you would find on page 9. And the next story, tribute pour in for victims of Afriland fire. Tinubu, Atiku, Sanwo-Olu, Obi, Mon. That is on page 31. Zenith Bank gross earnings hit 2.5 trillion naira in H1 2025, declares 1.25 naira interim dividend. That is on page 31 of the state paper. The big story here, Governor Mba, Enugu will use coal to generate 1,000 megawatts of electricity. There are some riders there. Vows not to treat mineral resources as standard assets. Discloses crime rate in Enugu reduced by over 80%, says Enugu Air to take delivery of 6 planes before year end. NBCC president insists Enugu on the move, witnessing infrastructure expansion. Finally, British Deputy High Commissioner, UK accounts for 65% of Nigeria's FDI. Okay, finally, there is a picture story here, and that one says, come and invest in Enugu, we are open for business. That's still on the Enugu State News. Let's go to the next paper, which is the New Telegraph.
All right, so thank you, Priscilla. We'll begin with the star headline for you here. Says Rivers Assembly to probe Ibasi's spendings as sole administrator. Then it goes further with 3 riders. I spoke with Fubara yesterday. Peace has returned to Rivers. That's Wike, his estranged godfather and former governor of the state. They're talking. Fubara absent as busloads of supporters from Government House. The Rivers emergency rule will hurt Nigeria's democracy for long. Obi. Tinubu arrogated power of constitution to himself. ADC as Pandef hails restoration of democracy. All of these dramatic details you can find on pages 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 of today's issue of the New Telegraph. All right, let's move things a notch higher now to the very top above the nameplate. Federal government ends passport production at multiple centers after 62 years. Wow, what a landmark achievement. Research, Uni Abuja moves to tackle sickle cell with homegrown expertise. A bit of a relief there. The writer tells us Nigeria's healthcare future at risk without medical specialists. Credited to Minister. Let's look at 3 more headlines for you. It says, hope rises for Eagles as FIFA begins Bafana probe over an ineligible player. Then, insecurity. NEC declines deliberation on state police. Of course, the National Economic Council met yesterday, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima, as well as all the 36 state governors or their representatives, and of course the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The writer to that headline says, endorses Naseni's solar irrigation pumps, puts ECA at $535.8 million. Cannabis use may increase risk of diabetes. That's according to a study which details you can read up on page 28 of the New Telegraph. All right, let's move things now to the Guardian newspaper, and Priscilla has those details for us.
All right, so let's start with the story on page 3 that says, investors avoid places where politicians controls judiciary, says Jonathan. Interesting. On page 3, we have BOI secures adaptation funds mandates to drive Nigeria's climate action. NAS withdraws contract circulars as 23.9 trillion naira capital budget rolls into 2026. The big story there says exhausted doctors, longer wait times, tests, public hospitals, care capacity. We have group raises alarm over massive data breach in Nigeria. Federal government unveils innovative loan scheme for retirees. And below we have suspense, dissolution as Fubara fails to show up after emergency rule ends. You want to read up that story on page 6. UBA delivers 335 billion naira PAT, 1.6 trillion naira gross earnings. That is on business, and you find that on page 19. Osun PDP wants suspicious letter on local government funds case probed, and that you will find on page 6 of the Guardian paper. Read up to get more details. Let's go to the Daily Times.
All right, thank you. Daily Times here begins with the headline about the nameplate. Customs intercepts 5.1 billion naira worth of illicit drugs from India, Canada at Lagos Airport. Security flood preparedness, state account balances top NEC agenda. Of course, as expected, there's a picture there to help tell the story better. But then we move on to other headlines. Now, a woman burns minor's private parts over witchcraft suspicion.
Wow.
Well,
interesting.
It's just ridiculous and at the same time outrageous how that we keep hearing stories that just leave our hearts in between our lips. COVID-19 not totally eradicated. Medical expert urges Nigerians to be on guard. EFCC rearranged ex-power minister Agonloye over alleged $6 billion fraud. Federal government sets December 31 deadline for mining companies to conclude community development agreements. 62 years after, Nigeria gets centralized passport center, targets 1 week delivery. Amazing. I mean, this is doable. At least that's what the leadership now under Minister Tunji is telling us. All right. Let's see what more we have, but this time these other headlines will come from the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, thank you very much. The first story here that is above the nameplate, you find that on page 8. It says the government ends passport production at multiple centers after 62 years. Marketers want us to increase pump price by 75 naira, and that is coming from Dangote. The next story, flood alert. Federal government raises fresh alarm as rivers, Niger, Benue reach peak level. You find that on page 9 of the Vanguard paper. Pursue targets Middle East halal market to boost economy, says Mufwang. And there's a write-up there that says NGE pays courtesy visits to governor. The big story here is on Rivers State and says assembly resumes sitting. Fubara fails to show up. There are some riders there. House urges Fubara to forward commissioners list appropriation bill. Asks governor to probe IBA's expenditure. Massive crowd leave in disappointment after waiting 12 hours. I've spoken to Fubara. He assured he'll resume, and that is coming from Wiki. Ads are forgiven him. Yeah, IBA's quits. 6 support for Fubara. Says Tinubu mandate achieved. Cautions against crippling states again. And Tinubu plays God in Rivers. That is coming from ADC. Atiku, Obi, others speak. You want to find out the details of that conversation by reading up on page 5 of the Vanguard paper. The next story here, Osun local government crisis, probe judicial irregularities, PDP tells CJ. And then Awujare Stu, Fusenbua, ruling house in leadership face-off, and that's on page 10 of that paper. Okay, that is it for the Vanguard paper. Now we'll go to the next paper, which is a Tribune paper, and we'll have you take us through.
And that will be, incidentally, our last paper for today, Nigerian Tribune. Then here, first of all, top right corner, says HID's 10th memorial anniversary patronal service hosted today in Ekene. That's talking about the late Mrs. Awolowo. Laughing, Daniel Amosu pay tributes. Federal government ends passport production at multiple centers after 62 years. And then Rivers supporters throng Port Harcourt. Streets Fubara keeps them waiting. He will resume. I spoke with him. No law says he should resume yesterday, Wiki. That sounds fair to say. Assembly to probe Ibasi's tenure asks Fubara to submit names of commissioners. Appropriation bill. The big one here says Osun PDP asks Federal High Court CJ to probe suspicious letters on Osun local government funds case. Those are your headlines this morning from across the national dailies that were brought to you. Do remember that, as always, we like to remind you that Global Television or the team here on Global Morning does not in any way contribute to these headlines or the details contained in these papers. All we do is bring you the headlines as published by the respective publishers, so we can guide you through the news, and you are also able to avoid fake news and misinformation. When we return, it will be time to join Ogochukwu Mobudo on Social Buzz. Is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, well, good morning. Yeah, so this is the discussion segment. Nearly 6 months after President Tinubu put an emergency rule in Rivers State, there has been a new situation in the state. The emergency rule has been lifted and the governor has been reinstated, including the House of Assembly members. Right now, there is a bit of a situation that is raising maybe concerns among some of the indigents in Rivers State. The governor is yet to be seen, and people are wondering why. You know, the Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, has come out to say that he has spoken with Fubara and that he has assured him that he is coming back. But then he's telling citizens to be calm. Of course, there is no law that says that he has to be back on the first day, right? So we just want to know what the situation is like in Rivers State, and then we want to know what the way forward is, because a lot of people are quite skeptical that there's something fishy somewhere. Others are, you know, keeping fingers crossed and hoping for things to go smoothly even after the reinstatement. But then looking forward to, you know, see what happens in the coming months in Rivers State. On this conversation, on this discussion segment, I am joined by a political analyst, Francis Emele. We will be dissecting this conversation together and then rubbing minds to see the way forward. You will get to meet my guests just after this break. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. Like I said, I have in the studio, of course, virtually, a political analyst, Francis Emele. He's here to join in the conversation of today's topic. We're talking about the Rivers State issue. Yes, the aftermath of the emergency rule. What are we expected to see? Will things normalize? We have Francis Emele in the studio with us. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning. This is Priscilla. Hope you can hear me from there.
Yeah, I can. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so let's go straight into the conversation. First off, I want to hear your perspective of everything that has been going on in Rivers State. Do you think the president's decision was the best after all?
So that nobody will be holding me responsible for misinterpreting the law, since I'm not a lawyer. Everything was wrong. I don't need to be a son, a lawyer self, to know that this is actually a very strange precedent that President Tinubu has just set. We've seen political crisis in states across the nation. We can list them. We know what happened during the Adedipu of Oyo State in those days, during the removal of Ladoja, and everything that happened, and still there was no state of emergency. There was a time that in Ekiti State, it was 5 members of House Assembly member that impeached a speaker. There was nothing happened like this. Anambra State had a huge crisis that even the governor was adopted. That's Governor Chris Ngige at the early time of this our dispensation, political dispensation, and nothing happened to Ngige. I said nothing happened to Anambra. There was no state of emergency. We can keep on counting, even when the current president Tinubu created the additional local governments, which they now call FCT. What do they call it in Lagos State now? When he was trying to convert them to normal local government, and Obasanjo disagreed, and the argument continued until at a point the then President Obasanjo, withheld the Lagos State monthly allocation, and there was no imposition of a state of emergency as it just happened in the state. We've seen crisis in Niger State, in Niger Delta that culminated to the emergence of those agitators that were burning everywhere. There was no state of emergency until the time of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, when he had to send Goodluck Jonathan, when they started the amnesty stuff that lasted till today. We've not heard anything like state of emergency. How come? Just because Wike, who is supposed to be a godfather and godson, are having disagreement, the president just went there and declared state of emergency. This crisis is not even, if we were to rank crisis in Nigeria since 1999, when the democracy fully returned in Nigeria, if you are to rank crisis, this one will not come 10th, and suddenly it means something is fishy. It doesn't augur well. It doesn't speak well of the presidency. It doesn't speak well of the nation. It's actually a pointer to a very bad precedent. So it was not done well. If you even see the mood of the nation, people are just managing for political correctness to accept it. It's not the right thing to have been done at that time.
So there is the Wike factor, as you have just mentioned, and it is known in this case. Now the rule has been lifted. What do you think is the motive, both from the presidential point of view and then the Wike point of view? What's the way forward? There were speculations, or it was known that they had a meeting, and a closed door meeting with both Fubara and Wike, and then they came up with a consensus. Some people speculate that he was given the condition of just serving one term. Is this a good one for Fubara? If you were to advise a Fubara now, would you advise him to take such condition?
Of course, it's all about power struggle, and just like you said speculation. We take it to be true because there is nobody that has really denied it. From traditional media to social media to even international medias like media houses like Reuters, it was widely reported that several conditions, including the one you mentioned, that Fubara will be running for only one term, and several other conditions were in place before the decision to do this funny thing that you just called restoration. It's as if the man has been clipped before it's as if a bed, somebody has been clipped and power was given back to him. I don't know the best figure of speech to use, to whether it's actually irony to use for this kind of situation. One has already been clipped. Under the clip, a power is given to you. Now let's look at it from there. My opinion is this: I cannot blatantly say I will accept or I will not, because it will only depend. It will depend on who I am, what I'm looking for, and the surrounding condition. If I can fight back at the time this happened, I'm seeing Fubara as being very powerless now, because Nigeria itself is powerless to the president we're having now. At least I appear powerless to the president we're having now. People are being subdued. You are not hearing voices. If this has happened during Obasanjo, during Jonathan, during Yar'Adua, there will be a strong opposition. But of course, we have already concluded that to an extent, or it has been perceived that to an extent, the real opposition comes from the southwest. Now the southwest is the ruling party now. Let me quote: is the people on the table now. There is no real opposition. If there is real opposition, this thing will not happen. At least it will not happen till now. There would have been a pushback that would have made the president to go back. So I think Fubara is helpless, and being helpless, his condition will only be taken on the basis of whatever he perceived that may be a leftover advantage. So my opinion will always based on whatever is for me. If FUBARA has invested money, I mean invested money in politics, of course we know Nigeria play huge money politics, and it happened like this. Of course he want to recuperate, he want to recoup its money at this point. So in that case he will just accept for the money's sake. But if it is for power, he's gone. Because nobody is to fight for him. He has been stripped of everything. The appointments that were made, which he rejected, is what is going to restore. Because the majority of the House Assembly members are not on his side. They can easily impeach him. We don't even know what they have at hand, what they have in at heart. After the painted restoration, they can actually come next week and they impeach him. Nothing will really happen. If nothing happened at the time that he was removed and replaced as if we are running junta. Nothing will still happen now. They will just impeach him. He has been clipped. So I think whatever decision he will make at this point will rely on whatever that will give him that glimpse of survival, whether it's economic survival or political survival.
So you just made a point. In your opinion, you don't think he had invested so much financially. Should we perceive FUBARA as ungrateful right now? Because the fracas between him and his estranged godfather came from, you know, some level of disagreement between both of them. I don't know to what extent, but then we see that it was not a good, you know, disagreement for it to turn out the way it turned out. So do you perceive it as him being an ungrateful person in quotes, or do you think there's something more to it?
Politicians in Nigeria are generally ungrateful. It is dog eat dog matter. While it's as if FUBARA appear weak or defeated at this point, is simply because his so-called godfather ran to the president. Of course, he is with the president, and the president have seen a loophole of claiming River. River is technically an APC party, state now. So Tinubu has seen a loophole, and he plunged into it. What did he do? They have now conducted an election. Officially, neither is Wike nor FUBARA belongs to APC. Do you understand? Neither of them belong to APC, but APC is the dominant, has the dominant members in the State House of Assembly. What does that make you? What does that reveal? That simply shows that the state has been given to Tinubu, sacrificed to Tinubu, and if Tinubu will be holding the state at that thing, it's like Wike use it as a way of escape in order to subdue his opponent. If Wike was not under Tinubu, if Tinubu is not with Wike, they are not in bed. There is nothing Wike will really do, because we have seen it happen across Nigeria. Apart from in a single case in Oyo State where the then Governor Rashid Ladoja was removed, while Adedibu, the godfather, removed him. Apart from that one, there is hardly a state which godfather trumped in this matter. Lagos is a special case, because at the end of the day, nobody has really been removed as governor in Lagos. Tinubu became godfather. So in Anambra, we saw what happened. Even after kidnapping, he still returned. It was court that finally removed him. We've seen it across Nigeria, north, east, south, and west. We saw the fallout of Ganduje and Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso did everything. He still did not remove him because Kwankwaso was not with the president, in bed with the president. Even those who were in bed with the president, power has not been so much recklessly exercised up to this extent. So you see what happened in this place. It's not about being ungrateful or not being grateful, because some of them are ungrateful. People helped Wike to power too. He also became ungrateful to them. But because the people were not holding power, or they were not desperate enough to wield it recklessly as the current president has done, nothing happened to him. So it's just because the current president is very reckless with power, and he exercised the power recklessly, even extra-constitutional. So because of it, it now appears as if Wike is the one trying to, okay, I'm holding your feeding bottle, you want to come. Nobody really holds feeding bottle of a sitting governor in Nigeria. A governor is very powerful in this state. Nobody can really remove him easily as it appears in this state. So in saying whether he's ungrateful or not ungrateful is not what matter is that what is at stake is that power has been removed from Abuja. It's not Wike that removed him. Wike does not have any power as such to remove him. Who has power to remove him? Who imposed the state of emergency that gave room for conducting of an election in his absence, that gave room for making negotiation when he was negotiating from the point of weakness was the President Tinubu. So it's not really about ungrateful or not ungrateful, because the state itself does not belong to Wike. It belongs to the people of Rivers State. And whoever is governor is supposed to be the governor.
Do you think in any way Rivers State performed good under the sole administration of Vice Admiral Ibom Eke?
I don't think I'll be able to make that assessment since I've not seen anything he did. And I've seen people, Rivers State people, celebrating his outgoing, including the security details in the government house. I've seen people waiting endlessly for the governor to come. If we had a better person there, they wouldn't have been. Of course, you know, the mood has been that of mourning throughout the time. You know, even him, he had limited power. I'm sure. So there are a lot of things he couldn't have done. So if you want to talk about projects, I don't know of any. A lot of ongoing projects in Rivers State had been suspended before now. So I don't know what metrics I will use to grade him at this point to say whether he worked well or he didn't work well. What is he performing? He didn't perform. What was it to perform? He didn't perform. Neither was he expected to perform. He was only given power to hold the power so that the governor will become weak. At that point, negotiation will be made. And when you are negotiating from a point of weakness, you compromise a lot. And it has been achieved and it's going back. That the media is silent does not mean we don't know. People have been speaking from different corners of the country. It was just the purpose of the state of emergency was to keep him weak, and as he is kept weak on that state of weakness, negotiation will be made. And as the negotiation is being made, when you are weak, you are negotiating in the point of weakness, and from that place you compromise, and compromises have been made. We have seen it. How many governors have ever in Nigeria on no ground just say I'm not contesting again for the next time? All the State House of Assembly, I will not have hand in anyone. All the appointment, all the this, election was conducted, but not within your watch. So at the end of the day, he's just coming back empty and weak. So he's I don't know. We cannot really talk about performance at this point, because we were not told that Mr. Abrams was sent to Rivers State to perform, and we never perceived that. And the Rivers State were not looking for performance; they were looking for their governor to come back, which we believe that he may come back.
Thank you very much for your perspective on the show this morning. Your final words before we go, please.
Okay. I just want to believe that power has been restored in Rivers State, but not fully. It is more of a managed power than true freedom. A managed power in the sense that somebody is in prison and they brought you out from the prison from where you were choked up with other prisoners and put you in a bigger rooms and probably giving you a gun. Maybe you were a soldier and giving you a gun inside the room. There is nothing you can really do. So power has been restored, but it's a managed power. Power is given to a bird that is in cage. A bird that is in cage is provided with equipment to walk or to build his nest. He's limited within the cage. No matter how big the cage is, the bird cannot really fly. So it is a control power that has been restored. And that's why there is no celebration in the return. There is gloominess. He's dragging feet to return. He should have run to return. We know when state of emergency was declared in Plateau State, I think during Joshua Dari, how he ran back to how he resumed. That very day he resumed. It was because of a crisis that was not political, but pure security crisis. And state of emergency was declared. At the point it was restored by then President Obasanjo. He just resumed. But this one we are still speculating. This is the second day whether he will resume or not. So power has been restored, but we must understand that the power that has been restored is a well and planned managed power. A well planned managed power it is managed. It is a well controlled power.
Okay, thank you so much for your perspective today on the show. This is how far we can go on this discussion segment. We hope and pray that things work out in Rivers State for the good of every citizen there, and ultimately they live in peace, and it reflects in our unity, in our economic growth, even as a nation. Thank you so much, Francis Emele, for your time on Global Morning. Right now, we will go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll have Uyi take us through the next segment of Global Morning. Don't go anywhere.
River State, apparently, I mean, one would have thought after 6 months we have found closure, but it appears another chapter in this conversation has just started. The issue of Fubara not showing up as expected, but his godfather, Nyesom Wike, has said that no cause for alarm, everything is under control. He adds by saying that, look, there's no rule that says it must resume on that same day, which was yesterday. Well, I'm sure they are in sync. He's probably talking from an informed perspective, given that the House of Assembly in Rivers State has also now asked the reinstated governor to submit a list of commissioner nominees, as well as appropriation proposal for 2025. But we hope everybody has now found a reason to sheath their sword, so we can embrace peace and dialogue, as advised by Mr. Ibas, who just left as the sole administrator, having done 6 months.
Yeah, but again, there is the argument that there is supposed to be an excitement. I mean, you've been away from your office for 6 months. You have not seen your people. I mean, if you have really missed that space, there should be this excitement to come back, and address the people, tell them, oh, can we just get working again and all of that. But it just shows that there are two things involved. It's either the terms to which he was given to resume office, it's not something he is happy with, or, like his godfather said, he's taking his time. So we hope the later is actually what it is, because I mean it's not a good thing right now to see that another drama unfolds after 6 months. The people of Rivers State will eventually feel the heat from the whole situation. So we just want peace, we want dialogue, as you have said.
And as we've always maintained on the program here and across all other programs, there's no better time to find peace in Rivers State than now. And as a matter of fact, they say when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. And with due respect, and in the manner of speaking, the elephant in this case are the good people. I mean, the grass are the good people of that state, and we can't continue to have the political class bring war to a place that seriously needs development and economic growth. We hope that Mr. Fubara, whether he resumes or not, because that's now a political matter, all right, it should be such that he continues to, as he has said severally, make Rivers State a priority for him, all right? Whether you like it or not, he has been the governor of that state by law. The people have voted him into office. Even if he decides to not resume, I mean, with a big if, all right, he must also realize that he's first and foremost a Rivers State indigent before he's the governor or a politician or an accountant or anything else, all right? And I think that's the spirit that everybody should bring. However, on the final note, what many persons continue to worry themselves about or feel agitated about is the Wike factor, because people are wondering. I mean, this man had been the governor, has left the state, he's now in Abuja as the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. How is it that he still has the state under such, a dumbfounding influence?
Well, Rivers State is one state that we'll call a major state in Nigeria when it comes to politics and all of that. So I think, in my opinion, that Wike still has his eyes for other political positions, and then he needs to be in good terms with whoever it is that is on the seat, to transition into that position that he wants to achieve before, as his dream, as his goal. So it's a strategy. It's a strategy. Rivers is one big state, and he has to hold it down. Even if he eventually decides to come out to contest for presidency next years and the coming years, he wants to pin Rivers State down to his advantage. So it's just a normal politician political thing, political whatever in Nigeria. Yeah, that is how our politicians are. We are, first of all, they are, let me not use myself, because I am not a politician. So they are, I don't want to call them selfish. I really don't want to call them, but if you look at the characteristics that they have displayed over the years, from the inception of democracy, in Nigeria and all of that, we've seen them. I don't have a problem if they strategize, they carry out all their plans for the benefits of the citizens. I mean, that is why they are in government. Well, it becomes a problem when it is just about me, myself, and I. So it's a point where we have come to that point where we have to rethink politics in Nigeria. And like I said earlier in our conversation, Wike's politics is not something that should be condoned. No matter what, his politics should be spoken, should be spoken down of. Yes, we shouldn't condone it in any way. So, well, it is what it is at the end of the day.
All right. Well, our second guest is going to join us shortly, because we need to continue to have conversations about very salient and, if you like, developing stories. One of them is the fact that it will appear Africa is now becoming more like a quote-unquote dumping ground for the U.S. government under Donald Trump in particular, because we understand a couple of, not just for the U.S., even for the United Kingdom. Once we heard there was going to be, or there had already been, an agreement between the UK authorities and the government of Rwanda, which is in East Africa. Today, it is Donald Trump sending those he refers to as illegal immigrants to Africa, particularly Ghana. Yes, in this case.
I still wonder why. Why do we have? Why do they have to dump them in Ghana? Why not dump them?
Even though we hear some of them were Nigerians.
Exactly. So why not bring them to their country? Why take them to Ghana? Is he having issues with the Nigerian government?
Or is there some sort of understanding between the American government and the Ghanaian authorities?
Well, whatever the case, we need to. I don't know the relationship Nigeria has with Ghana at this point. Whatever relationship he has with Ghana and with the Ghanaian government, I mean, we are the giants of Africa.
Right.
So why take our citizens to Ghana? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, well, we'll see how much this will change the narrative, because whether you like it or not, we have a good number of Nigerians over there. And it will appear that President Trump is not even playing by the rules much. I mean, even the U.S. laws, because just the last few days, we're seeing more than one court stop his moves to remove certain people, especially those from Latin America, you know, and things like that. So you're wondering, are these people, or is this issue of deporting these migrants the most pressing problem of the U.S. people at this point in time? Of course, there has been the argument of, well, it's their country, they can decide what they want to do with it, who can live there and who cannot live there. But then there are aspects of this development that are very, very troubling. I mean, quite disturbing. One of them is even Trump saying that there's no rule that says you can't remove somebody who has what popularly called green card, that is permanent residency. That in some cases there are citizens you can remove. It just depends on what the government's policy, action, or direction is at that point in time. And people are saying this is the eccentric, erratic Donald Trump in his element, you know, and things like that. But this is not the America that we have known growing up.
Yeah, Donald Trump, in my opinion, is playing with power. I think he tests this part of the power. If it doesn't work, he goes to another. Whatever works for him, he dwells there, you know, to regain whatever it is that you get has happened to his estate. You know, when he brings up some rules. I like the fact that the American government works. It's not a place like Nigeria where, you know, the president has the sole, you know, authority of everything. There has to be a consensus, you know, between everybody that's in power. And we've seen that play out on key decisions that Donald Trump has taken. There are situations where he comes out to bring out the policy, and it is not the courts, you know, rules it out or something, or, you know, just sets it aside or something. But if you come to a place like Nigeria, I mean, you cannot say that it's a different ballgame. So Donald Trump is of course he's the president, exercising his power, he's exercising his authority. I don't know what it is he has with immigrants, and I don't know if it's something that each and every one of them in power there is having a consensus, you know, with him about. But I feel like matters that they do not hold so dear, they kind of, you know, just shove it aside and allow him to do what he wants to do. And matters that touches them, they come at him for. So at the end of the day, we suffer the loss, and my heart goes to those that have been deported. It's a sad one. It's really a sad one. It's a difficult thing, you know. Just throwing somebody, you can throw one off balance, starting life again, trying to pick yourself up. It's not an easy thing. So my heart goes out to them. But at the end of the day, we need to play by the rules. If you're going to a country, they have their rules. I mean, you just need to play by their rules. Forget the fact that we are perceived. We have been told countless times that we're a lawless country, but we shouldn't get used to it. Yeah, don't carry your lawlessness to another country.
Yeah, like you said, I think we can only find consolation now in knowing that the U.S. system, I mean, the legal system is quite robust, and Donald Trump cannot just ride a roughshod over the judiciary and then get away with it. You have people who are independently minded. Then, of course, you have a very vibrant judicial system that does work, right?
Absolutely.
All right, our guest this morning to have this conversation with us is going to be joining us from South Africa, and he has a handle on these issues. So he's going to help us create context and establish perspective as to what exactly are the underlying factors driving the U.S. government under the leadership of President Trump to take these routes of, if you like, rerouting those considered to be illegal aliens, all right, to Africa, in most cases concentrated into one country, as against having to disperse them across to their various countries of origin. We'll talk to you about all those when we return from this break. Please do stay with us. Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, let's get started out by just providing you a bit of insight into this conversation about Africans being deported from the U.S. and what exactly some people think the Trump administration's, if you like, ultimate goal is. Of course, Trump has never been, if you like, unequivocal. I mean, he has always been unequivocal about all of his moves regarding immigration, his perspective, his conviction, and what his roadmap would be in terms of ensuring that aspect of the U.S. is addressed. And we've seen him do that between 2017 and 2021. He got into power again just last January. It will appear he took up from where he had left off some years ago. But then again, the concern has been as these developments affects Africa and indeed the African continent, because today we understand that many Africans have been deported from the US. Of course, every time you have this sort of deportation that directly impacts Africa, it's only natural that you bring Nigeria into the space, because Nigeria is also involved in all of this. However, there are those who are now saying, based on their own analysis and looking at all of the indices, that the Trump administration in the US is using visa cuts or its entire, if you like, gamut of visa policies, all right, to bully African leaders. Is that really what it is? And what could be the goal ultimately? Is this so he can have leverage, or is it to the end that he can, if you like, subject some of these African countries, or most of them, to a point where he can have the U.S. take their resources at if you like, a price that almost like give away? What exactly is it? Or is it just simply an obsession with an power to be able to control, all right, African countries? Because don't forget that even those in Europe and across continental America have agreed that Africa continent, that is this very continent of 54 countries, all right, it's the development, if you like, pivot of the world. And it's the reason you see most of these countries come here again and again, take resources of one form or another just to be able to drive development across their respective critical sectors in those countries. But you want to step on your brakes for a second and then ask yourself, what exactly are the lessons that African leaders, right, should be learning from all of this? We've seen, for example, what a few countries like Burkina Faso have done in the last few months, in the last 1 year. Yes, we can criticize all of that, we can disagree with some of those moves, but there are analysts and experts who believe that Africa, if it must make progress going forward and be able to compete favorably in the Committee of Nations, must, capital letter must, be able to also realize that it has some sort of competitive advantage that it can use in terms of being able to address some of its own challenges that are largely inherent. But when we narrow it down to the challenge of immigration, you're tempted to ask yourself, what are the factors that drive immigration in the first instance? Why would anyone, end to end across this continent, want to leave, all right, for Europe or for US, for Canada, or for any other part of the world where they think they stand better chances at higher quality of life? Those are the issues that many experts, indeed citizens, believe must be addressed, and not the policy moves of President Trump. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll be joined by our guest. Do stay with us. All right, so we understand our guest is still prepping to join us now. But again, one of the issues we are going to put in front of him is to look at the quality of governance in this country. A while ago, my colleague and I were talking about how that it's bothering, it's quite unsettling that doctors go to public universities, especially in the case of Nigeria, and then the next thing you know, a few years down the line, they dash off to other countries, Saudi Arabia, to Japan, to Switzerland, all over Europe, of course, America, Canada, and what have you. And nobody is asking, why do we have this pattern, this very sad trajectory of brain drain going on across not just Nigeria, but the entire continent? Who exactly is going to disrupt it, and what is the game plan to do that? Just barely 2 weeks ago, the national president of the NARD, that's the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Sundara, was here to talk about some of these issues as well. One of the issues he did raise at the time was that, look, we must rework by way of policy framing the issues that lead to brain drain, why people would want to leave their fatherland, leave their homeland, leave their beloved ones, and just move elsewhere in the name of seeking greener pastures. And when you look at that argument, you realize that it has a lot to do with the problem of structure, or for the most part, the lack of it, as well as issues around policies that either do not exist at all, weak, or can't bite altogether. And what makes that of the healthcare system very particularly concerning is because lives revolve around it. So when you hear that Nigeria has so and so number of doctors in the US, they have such and such a number of doctors in Saudi Arabia or across Europe or somewhere in Canada, you're wondering, at what point did the link get broken? And what exactly is our broken link? And then finally, who is going to help us fix the broken link? Because we have had, for example, in this country where a minister, I mean, in the 21st century was saying that there's no rule that stipulates as a doctor you must graduate and study, and practice in the field of medicine. You can go to agriculture, you can go to any other sphere of influence, which of course is a valid argument. But there was some sort of icing on the cake at that point in time a renowned academician, a researcher, and himself a medical doctor, a very senior one, professor of medicine, who had also been a vice chancellor of one of Nigeria's frontline universities, to say that Nigeria already has enough doctors. It makes you want to catch your breath for a second and ask yourself, who did the numbers? Who is actually, if you like, just punching the numbers to figure out how many doctors we have? What is the ratio of doctors to patients in Nigeria today? And what does the authorities, the global authorities, UNICEF, for example, recommend should be the ratio between doctor and patients? Apparently, Nigeria, as currently constituted, is not ready for that conversation. This is where we're taking a break, everyone. The rest of the program returns shortly. So at this point, all we can say is to say, let's continue to work the machinery of governments, of governance, to ensure that we continue to get it right, because it appears that for the most part, the actions by governments are more tilted towards politics and politicking as against development of critical sectors. Because before you rejoin the program, Priscilla, I was talking about this issue of Trump, the U.S. government, all right, under Donald Trump, repatriating those they consider illegal immigrants, most of them, a good number of them Nigerians, and indeed from West Africa, and all of that. I was just making the point, as we're going to, we're expecting our guests to also buttress, of how that it's high time we paid more attention, right, to the factors that drive underdevelopment, factors that drive people to the point where they are not only considering the option of migrating or doing jagba, but instead they are now beginning to, based on sheer necessity, see it as the only way out, because they say there is no smoke without fire. So if you have a pattern of people over a 10, 20, 30-year period, continuing to, with determination and, if you like, in some cases, desperation, migrate, go to other countries. Some of these people who do this jagba thing, if you like, this immigration thing, they don't really go to Europe or to the US. Yeah. Some of them are somewhere in Rwanda, some of them in South Africa. Somebody was put up the Ghanaian city 2 days ago, I think, right, and was trying to do some sort of a bit of comparative analysis as to which is more powerful, 200 cities, 200 naira, and all of that. Of course, some economists, especially those who have political tilting, will say that, well, if you look at it from, yes, on the surface, you can say, well, the Ghanaian city is way higher, because as of close of business yesterday, 200 Ghanaian cities were a little over 12,000 naira. So when you look at it from that standpoint, somebody will say, well, wow, the Ghanaian city is so powerful. But some people will tell you, no, look at it from the standpoint of purchasing power, exactly power. What can he purchase in Ghana? What can he purchase in Nigeria? That's what 200 can do. I mean, what 200 cities can do in Ghana, 200 naira can also do in Nigeria. Last I checked, you are not an economist. I'm not so sure if you have lived in Ghana either. Therefore, I can't conclude that you have seen both sides of the coin. But do you feel the temptation to move to Ghana?
Why Ghana? Well, that shouldn't be a basis to migrate. I think that at the end of the day, some people don't even mind.
Right.
People that travel to countries like the UK, the US, you know, and other parts of the world, generally, most times what they do is when they go there, they make the money and they send it home.
Right.
Yeah. So they go there, they get a plot of land here.
Foreign remittance.
They're building, yeah. So they just, it cannot purchase so much for them there.
So whatever life they can live there, they can manage, get by, and they are making investment back at home.
There's this celebrity couple, do I call them celebrities? They're content creators on social media, Facebook.
Right.
They just relocated back. I think they were in Austria, and they came back to Nigeria. And some people were like, why now? They're like, well, they've made the money, you understand? And people were shocked. Why Nigeria? Why would you come back to Nigeria and all of that? Well, they shared part of their challenges of living in Austria. According to them, they couldn't interact with the community. I don't think Austria is an English-speaking country.
No, it is.
So they go there, their children, you know.
Basically German, French.
Exactly, German, French. So they had issues with family, interacting with, you know, they were more like living on their own.
Right.
You understand? Interact with just children, mother, her husband or the father would travel to Nigeria and come back and travel. And at some point, the children had to walk up to their parents and say, I'm tired of this kind of life. I want to interact. I want to make friends. And it's part of a child's life. I mean, you cannot separate a child to...
So you can't take away their childhood.
Exactly, because
for economic reasons.
For economic reasons. So they had to rethink, you know, and consider the fact that they had made some money, and then they made the decision to come to Nigeria and stay for the next 5 years. So their reason is, okay, my children need, you know, to make friends. They need to interact with society. We cannot seclude them. In short, according to her, she was even losing herself at some point. This is to say that so a lot of people don't weigh these things when they're traveling out of the country. Especially if you're starting a family. It's not easy. A lot of people come out on social media to complain about, you know, the Western culture, how it affects their children. Their children are this, their children are that. Those are part of the things to weigh. It is not just the monetary reasons. You know, if you're a single person, you know, it's easier. But by the time family comes to the table, by the time family is part of the conversation, I mean, it is just more than economic reasons. So this is just to say that for those that go with a plan, at the end of the day, I think it favors them. For this family now that has gone, they've made the money, they have come back, they built a very good house, you know, they're taking their children to the best of schools now in Lekki and all of that. That is a good plan, that's a strategy. But some people travel out of this country without any plan whatsoever. They just feel like Nigeria is not working, I'll go there and things will work. I'll go there and everything, my life will be better. They go there and they see that they still have to work. Structure, there's so much structure there. They need to, you know, and at some point they get frustrated. Some people have seen videos of people coming out on social media to cry, of loneliness, of boredom. And all these are introverts. You understand? You get. So there's a lot to consider before you japa. You shouldn't japa because of just money. And even if you're traveling for money, you need to have a plan, a strategy. What works abroad? What am I going there to do? Am I going to, if I'm going to school, ask questions. For those that are already in the country, ask them questions. You get. So that's just basically what I can say.
It's quite interesting. I mean, I've heard people who, by whatever standard, have found accomplishment abroad, professionals in particular, career people, and all of that, especially early migrants, those who left way back in the 80s, in the 90s. But you still realize that there's something missing. They feel our country can be better. We didn't even have to leave if things were working around here. Some of them will tell you things last worked in Nigeria till maybe mid-80s or early 80s. After then, it was just a downward spiral the whole time and things like that. I met a man a few years ago, maybe up to 10, thereabout years ago. I was talking with him. He told me of how that he left Nigeria in 1985, 86, that the circumstances that led to his leaving was a bit hilarious, but it was serious. He said there was nothing spectacular about them. They were young boys who thought, well, they could do anything legitimate to just get by, you know, contribute their own small quota to society. So on this particular day, they were playing street football. So a guy from a different part of the city comes to them and says, how many of you would like to go to America? It sounded funny. I mean, those were days in the 80s where people were not desperate to travel abroad. I mean, there were people who even had the chance to go abroad to study, for work. They turned it down politely and all of that. So this guy puts this proposition in front of them, and a few of them hold up their hands, even though they were not sure if the gentleman was serious about it. And the next thing you know is a few weeks later, their visas are in their hands. And then they leave for the US. This was 85, 86 aside. So virtually 3 decades down the line, I moved to this man, and he said, look, I've lived my life, I mean, essentially abroad, and I like the life. It still does not compare with what can be, because you could see the confidence with which he sat down in the living room of his ancestral home. He felt like this is home, ultimately. But again, by the time he has to go out with power bank every other day for maybe a week, right? By the time he realizes that once it goes cloudy, just before it starts raining, power is going to go off. Then he realizes that he's trapped, you know, indoor when it rains heavily. If he lives in a flooded area or a flood-prone area, those things will naturally tempt him to want to travel abroad. Again, it's now cycles back to the issue of why don't we take care of our domestic problems, deal with those things that make people. It's pretty much like an organization. Over a 2-year period, 6-month period, 5-year period, you see people living for the same reason or 2 reasons essentially. This person is living because of this person is living because of that. What's a responsible leadership, if a future focused management will do, is to say, why are these people living? Some of them are best hands, all right? They have been loyal the whole time. And then you nip that problem, address that problem, and see how people would be, I mean, the chances that people will stay increase. It's the same thing with a nation like Nigeria. What should we be doing to make people stay? Give them the basics. People have said that Nigerians are never complaining. They're not asking for too much. Just give them water, potable water, that is. Give them good roads, give them lights, assure them in practical ways that they have access to healthcare. All right, what else? Subject everybody to the rule of law, because even foreign investors will not come to your country if they know that there is no rule of law. Because by the time there is a subject of litigation with regards to their investment, they are not sure they will get justice in your courts. These are fundamentals. And politicians know these things. It's not like we are educating them about what they already know. It's just to say that it will appear we are deliberately skewing the system, mutilating the system, strangling the system, just to favor a select few, which is, of course, the political elite.
Yeah, I feel like we have, in this country, if we want to make progress, it is time for every single well-meaning Nigeria to just be that change. We cannot wait for these people anymore. Really, we can't. I think we need to teach them, because like you said, they know these things. So we need to show them that we also know these things. You understand? I have not seen a big man in Nigeria that decides to leave all his enterprise and, you know, decides to japa for greener pasture. The mindset, you know, behind this japa thing is not the mindset of a creator. If you are a wealth creator, if you are a business creator, if you are an innovator, which still boils down to our educational system. Do you understand? If you are an innovator, you will know how to transform things with the little you have. I mean, we're in a global village right now. You can see what is expected of us, you know, by looking at the internet. You compare yourself to other climes of the world and see what, you know, you should be doing for what they set as a standard. So you can take it up, no matter how small it is. We cannot keep crying and waiting for these people we call leaders. You get? We need to just take Nigeria to where it should be by being innovators, by taking charge, by being problem solvers, whatever it is that you can do, no matter how small. I don't think there's anything small again.
Of course.
I really don't think there's a small business or a small career or a small job. No, it is how you handle it. It's how you package it.
How you drive it.
Exactly. It can become a standard to the world, and the world indeed can even come to you. To see. So it's a mindset that we have. We just have this servant mindset. We want to go there to work for them. Where we have, you know, and as bad as we say Nigeria is, there are people in this part of the world that have all the security they can have, the power they can have. We have solar now, and you don't have to depend on
the national grid.
Thank you. You don't have to depend on them. So you can create that serene environment that you have ideally in your mind, and it's all possible. I mean, I have plans of course, traveling out of this country. But my plan is to go and explore the world and come and bring it back.
Replicate it
here. Exactly. So that's the mindset that even Nigerians should have if you want to.
I'm going to keep tracking your progress because I know this will happen at some point.
Yeah.
Let's also see how we can contribute along those lines. That's what we're leaving it, everyone. Thank you so very much for watching. As always, remember that the views of our guests on Global Morning, as well as across all other programs, are their opinions. The newspaper headlines we bring to you here are just exactly as published by their respective publishers. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And I am Priscilla Obasi. Have a beautiful day ahead.